All right, welcome to another deep dive. We're tackling something pretty fundamental this time, getting traction for a business. And this is especially key for all you startups out there.
Yeah, it's make or break stuff, right?
Totally. So we've been digging into this book, Traction, by Gabriel Weinberg and Justin Mayers.
Great book, really practical.
It is, and we're going to try to unpack, how companies can really pinpoint those perfect customers and just explode their growth.
Exactly. And we're not just talking theory here. We've got real-world examples lined up from those big names, your Facebooks, your Twitters, all the way to, maybe lesser known but super successful like Mint and DuckDuckGo.
So inspiration and tactics.
That's the goal.
Awesome. Okay, so Traction, the book, it starts with this really simple idea, right? Just having a great product, not enough.
Yep.
You need to prove people want it. That's where traction comes in.
Couldn't agree more. It's like that measurable sign, that evidence that your business is actually gaining momentum. Weinberg and Mayers, they define it as quantitative evidence of customer demand.
Okay, so it's got to be real, like numbers you can track.
Exactly. It could be like a handful of paying customers for a B2B company, or maybe, for a consumer app, it's hundreds of thousands of users.
So there's no magic number, but you sort of just, you know it when it's happening.
You got it. It's kind of like that famous Supreme Court thing. You know it when you see it.
Uh-huh.
And actually, that's the exact comparison Naval Ravikant makes in the book. He's the founder of AngelList.
Makes sense. Okay, so we're not just defining traction, but we got to figure out how to get it right.
Right.
And the authors have this framework, the Bullseye framework, right?
Yes. That's all about targeted experimentation. You got to find the best path for your business to grow.
No cookie-cutter solutions.
Nope. 5-step process.
I'll add on us.
Okay, so first, brainstorm every way imaginable to reach customers, no matter how crazy.
Just get it all out there.
Then you got to rank those ideas. Which ones have the biggest potential impact? Choose a few of those high-potential channels to really test out.
Like a short...
Yeah. Then run some cheap experiments. Don't go all in yet. See what actually works. And then finally, once you've got some data, you laser focus on that channel, showing the most promise.
So it's kind of like the scientific method, but for marketing.
Exactly. Treat traction like an experiment, always testing, tweaking, until you hit that sweet spot.
I dig it. And the book covers a ton of different channels, right? I was flipping through, I saw everything from classic PR to stuff I'd never even heard of, like engineering is marketing.
There's a whole buffet of options out there. For some companies, traditional advertising might be the way to go. For others, maybe it's building a community online or going viral. It all depends on your product and who you're trying to reach.
So how do you even begin to pick? Let's dive into some specific examples. First up, viral marketing. I mean, how did companies like Dropbox, Facebook, Twitter, how'd they blow up so fast using that?
Well, think of it like a chain reaction, Dropbox, they were smart. They gave users more storage space if they invited friends.
So every new user is potentially bringing in even more users.
Exactly. Creates this loop of rapid expansion. Facebook and Twitter, they tap into that social connection, that natural human need to share and connect. People invite their friends, and the network just grows organically.
And the book actually breaks down the math behind it, right? The viral coefficient.
Right. That number tells you how many new users each existing user brings in.
So bigger is better.
Exactly. If that number's above 1, you've got that exponential growth, the hockey stick everyone dreams of. And then there's the viral cycle time. That's how long it takes a new user to invite others. Faster cycle, faster growth.
Okay, so it's not just about going viral, it's about doing it fast and strategically.
You got it. But I'm curious, do you think any company can use viral marketing, or does it depend on what they're selling?
That's a great question. I mean, sure, some products are kind of built for sharing, like social networks. But maybe the principles can be tweaked, right?
You're on the right track. The authors, they focus on the psychology behind those invitations that work. It's got to be aligned, what the person sending the invite says and what the person seeing it sees when they click. That landing page, it's got to deliver on the promise.
So even if you can't pull off full-blown virality, understanding these ideas could help with any referral program.
Absolutely. Make sharing easy and rewarding, and you'll see a difference. Now, let's switch gears a bit. What about public relations? These days, it's not just about getting in the New York Times, right?
Right. The book talks about how even smaller blogs, online communities, they can have a surprisingly big impact on, the mainstream media.
It's like this trickle-up effect. There's this example, donorschoose.org. They started getting noticed with local news covering their work supporting teachers after 9/11.
Tapping into that current event.
Smart, right. Then Newsweek picked it up, and then Oprah featured them. National exposure led to major funding. It shows you even a small spark can turn into a huge fire.
They even give you, like, practical advice on how to pitch for PR. I feel like they were giving away trade secrets.
They do. And one thing they emphasize, tell a good story. Just throwing facts out there isn't enough. You need a narrative that grabs people, makes them want to share it.
So find that human element, make it relatable.
You got it. Okay, so we've covered traditional PR, but then there's also this whole unconventional PR thing. The book has a whole chapter on companies pulling off crazy stunts, showing customer appreciation just to stand out.
Guerrilla marketing, digital age style.
Exactly. Remember that story about Hipmunk sending luggage tags to their early users? So simple, but brilliant.
Like building relationships, not just, transactions.
You get it. And those tactics, they can have insane ROI. Grasshopper.com, they spent like $65,000 on this Grasshopper 5,000 campaign. They sent chocolate-covered grasshoppers to influencers.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you heard that right. And their traffic from Twitter and Facebook, up 3,000%. Crazy.
Okay, so unconventional PR, it's creativity, delighting customers, and taking some risks. But let's be real, not every company can pull off a viral video or send out thousands of bugs. What about something more, everyday, like SEO?
Ah, SEO, the art and science of getting your website to show up at the top of those search results. The book breaks it down into two main approaches, fathead SEO and long-tail SEO.
Fathead SEO sounds intense.
It is. That's for targeting those super competitive keywords everyone's going after, like trying to win the Super Bowl of search.
That's stakes.
You need to know keyword research inside and out, website optimization, how to get other sites to link back to yours. It's a long game, but the payoff can be huge.
Okay, so if fathead is the Super Bowl, is long-tail SEO more like finding hidden treasure?
Love that analogy. It's about targeting those longer, more specific phrases. Less competition, but often people searching those are more ready to buy. You become the resource for a niche audience.
Okay, so less traffic, but higher quality.
The book uses this great example. Patrick McKenzie, he built this whole website. Bingo card creator. Hundreds of pages, each one targeting a unique phrase, and he's killing it.
That's brilliant. He realized there's an audience for everything, and if you speak directly to them, you win.
Which brings us to content marketing. Creating valuable stuff to pull people in.
Exactly. It's about becoming a thought leader in your space, building that trust. Look at companies like Moz, HubSpot. They built their entire brand on this. Consistently putting out high-quality blog posts, ebooks, webinars, always providing value. And now they're giants.
The book actually mentions Unbounce, the landing page company. They blogged for a year before they even had a product.
That's commitment.
Right, but they built an audience first. By the time they launched, they had customers ready to go. It's that long game again.
Love it. Then there's Ocupid. They embraced content marketing later on. They used their data, all those unique insights to create these buzzy, controversial blog posts. Everyone was talking about them.
So sometimes controversy can be good marketing. In the right hands, definitely. But remember, with content marketing, it's not enough to just create the stuff. You got to promote it to get it in front of the right eyes.
Get people actually reading it.
Exactly. The book suggests guest posting on other blogs, connecting with influencers, using social media strategically. But we should also talk about email marketing.
Oh, yeah. Email.
Yeah.
Feels kind of old school these days, but I guess it still works.
It does. It's that direct line to your audience. And it feels more personal than just blasting a message to everyone, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Personalization, segmentation, that's key. Tailor those messages based on people's interests, what they've done on your site.
Makes sense. So it's less, hey, buy this.
Yeah.
And more like providing something they actually want.
The book has this case study on WP Engine. They do WordPress hosting. They use these automated email sequences to guide potential customers through the sales process.
So it's educational, building that relationship, not just hard selling.
Exactly. Which brings us to a really cool channel. Engineering is marketing. Using your technical skills to build tools and resources that attract your ideal customer.
I love that. Build your own marketing magnets.
That's the idea. Think of HubSpot's Marketing Grader. It's a free tool, analyzes your website, super valuable to users, and it generates tons of leads for HubSpot.
Win-win.
Right. You give value up front and you establish yourself as an expert. There are other great examples too. Moz's Open Site Explorer, it's a free SEO tool, and RJ Metrics, they have these awesome data dashboards, all designed to pull people in.
So it's building assets that keep working for you, unlike ads that just kind of disappear.
That's a great point. And that's a key takeaway here, right? It's not just about those quick wins. It's about creating systems that attract and keep those customers long term.
Exactly. We've covered a lot, from going viral to mastering SEO to building cool tools. So much to think about. Let's take a quick pause to let this all sink in, and then we'll come back with even more ways to boost that traction.
All right, welcome back. Ready for more traction-boosting tactics?
Definitely. We've got a lot more ground to cover.
Let's jump into something that might surprise you. Targeting blogs.
Wait, really? Blogs? Is that still a thing?
It can be, but you got to be strategic about it. It's not about begging for a mention. It's about forming those partnerships, driving traffic, building awareness. The book uses Mint as a perfect example. Noah Kagan, their old marketing director, he was a genius at this.
Yeah, didn't Mint get like 40,000 users before they even launched? Something crazy like that.
You got it. And a big chunk of that, targeting blogs. Noah, he knew people interested in personal finance. They were already hanging out on those blogs, so he went straight to the source.
Makes sense. Instead of fighting for attention with ads, go where the people already are.
Exactly. And he didn't just pitch them, he offered real value, created custom content for each blog, gave them something relevant to share with their readers.
Ah, so he turned potential competitors into allies.
Brilliant. Right. It's all about collaboration. And he didn't stop there. Sponsored blog giveaways, partnered with big sites like The Motley Fool, reached even more people.
So thinking bigger.
He even sent personalized emails to those early users, thanking them for their support. Built a real sense of community from the start.
So it's more than just getting a link. It's about building those genuine relationships, providing value every step of the way.
Exactly. And these ideas, they can work beyond just blogs. Think about online communities like Reddit, Hacker News, niche forums.
Tapping into those online tribes.
You got it. Dropbox, remember them? They went viral after sharing a video on Hacker News. Took off from there, spread to bigger platforms.
So it's about understanding those communities, giving them something they actually care about. No spamming.
Absolutely not.
No.
Now let's shift gears again. Business development. All about those strategic partnerships.
Okay, so things like joint ventures, co-marketing campaigns.
Exactly. Leveraging the resources of other companies to grow your own. The book covers it all, from strategic alliances to licensing agreements.
But it only works if it's a win-win.
Right, absolutely. Chris Frelick, he's a VC, been involved in tons of acquisitions. He shares some great insights, stresses the importance of understanding your potential partner's goals.
So what are they trying to achieve? How can you help each other?
Exactly. Find those people who are actually open to collaboration. He even suggests, get this, working in a used bookstore.
Wait, what?
Yeah, to better understand a potential partner's industry.
Immerse yourself in their world.
Exactly. He also talks about building a pipeline of potential deals, knowing that not every partnership will work out.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right. He shares how Delicious, the social bookmarking site, they use partnerships with companies like Mozilla, the Washington Post, to grow their user base.
Finding those synergies where everyone benefits.
Now let's talk sales. The book has a whole section on building a repeatable sales model.
Okay, this is crucial for companies that have that hands-on sales process.
Yeah, it's about building those relationships for the long haul, not just closing quick deals, understanding the customer's needs, addressing their concerns, providing value at every stage.
So less about pushing products, more about solving problems.
You got it. And they offer practical advice on everything, from cold calling to closing deals. They introduce something called the SEPTI selling methodology.
What's that?
It's all about asking the right questions, figuring out what the customer really needs, and guiding them towards a solution.
So you become a trusted advisor, not just a salesperson.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They also stress building a well-designed sales funnel, taking prospects through each stage of the buying process.
Okay, so from that first contact to actually closing the deal, each step is planned out, building that relationship, meeting their needs.
They use the example of Guidewire software. They did these free consulting studies to engage potential customers, really understand their challenges. Giving value up front builds trust.
Smart. You're positioning yourself as a partner, not just a vendor trying to make a sale. But what about companies that don't have a huge sales team? What are their options?
Affiliate programs can be really effective. You're basically tapping into other people's audiences to drive sales.
So you only pay when they deliver a customer, like performance-based marketing.
Exactly. The book explains how it all works, choosing the right network, setting up your program, tracking results. They point to Amazon, Zappos, built massive businesses through affiliate marketing.
Leveraging the reach of others without the overhead of a big sales team. Makes sense.
And they talk about different types of affiliates, like coupon sites, niche bloggers. It's about finding those ideal partners, crafting a compelling offer for them.
Okay, we've covered a lot of traditional marketing channels, But in today's world, we can't forget about existing platforms, can we?
Definitely not. Think about app stores, social media, online marketplaces. They have billions of users just waiting to be reached.
So go where the people are.
Exactly. Evernote's a great example. Built a billion-dollar business by focusing on these platforms. They were early adopters of the iPhone and Android app stores, prioritized being on every major platform. They even have a multi-app strategy, releasing specialized apps to get featured in more categories.
Maximizing their visibility.
Right. And they highlight how Airbnb used Craigslist in their early days. Knew their audience was already there, so they built a feature to easily post listings on Craigslist, driving traffic back to their own site.
So meeting your customers where they are instead of trying to force them to come to you.
Exactly. Think about where your audience hangs out online and find ways to engage them there. Could be partnerships, content creation, just being active in those communities.
Being present, relevant, adding value. But with all these digital channels, is there still a place for offline marketing? What about trade shows?
Trade shows. They can be awesome for connecting with potential customers, partners, investors, face-to-face, building those personal relationships.
The book mentioned SlidePad. They make bike brakes, landed a huge partnership, got over 20,000 sales from a single trade show.
Pretty impressive, right? But it's not just about showing up, hoping for the best. The book gives tips on choosing the right shows, setting up your booth, engaging with attendees. You need a strategy, both inbound to capture leads at your booth and outbound to connect with key people.
So be prepared to attract people to you and go out and find those valuable connections.
Right, and have a clear call to action. What do you want people to do after visiting your booth? Download something, schedule a call, make it easy for them to take the next step.
And it's not just about the booth itself. Networking events, dinners, parties.
Exactly, extending those conversations beyond the trade show floor. Which brings us to another type of offline marketing. Offline events.
So conferences, meetups, workshops, even parties.
All of that. It's about creating those experiences that bring people together. The book talks about everything from small meetups to huge conferences like Startup Lessons Learned, Microcon.
Startup Lessons Learned, that was founded by Eric Rice, the guy who wrote the Lean Startup, right?
That's him. And they had this cool strategy to reach more people. They live streamed their conference to meetup groups all over the country.
Extending their reach without making everyone travel.
Exactly. They also talk about Inservio. They sell software to insurance companies. They targeted those top executives by hosting a conference specifically for them.
Bold move, but sounds like it worked.
It did. They established themselves as leaders, shortened their sales cycle significantly. But remember, you don't need a massive event to get started. Sponsor a local meetup, host a small workshop. Experiment and see what works for your audience and budget.
Start small. Think big. Now, before we wrap up offline channels, we got to talk about speaking engagements.
Yes. The power of sharing your expertise, inspiring people, building your credibility.
Thought leadership on stage.
You got it. The book uses Eric Ries as an example again. He used speaking engagements to launch his book, The Lean Startup. Hit the bestseller list within a week.
Wow, so it's not just about the book itself, it's about getting in front of the right people.
Exactly. And they give practical advice on landing speaking gigs, crafting presentations, making the most of your time on stage. Tailor your message to the audience. Give them actionable takeaways.
Make it relevant, something they can use right away.
They also emphasize networking, building relationships with other speakers, attendees, extending those conversations beyond the stage.
All right, so we've covered a ton, online and offline.
Okay.
But there's one more we need to discuss. Community building.
Yes. Community building. Creating that sense of belonging, shared purpose among your customers. You turn casual users into passionate advocates.
Like building a tribe around your brand.
Exactly. The book uses examples like Stack Overflow, Wikipedia, Reddit, thriving communities that fueled their success. Create a space for users to connect, share, contribute.
Make them feel like they're part of something bigger.
And it's not just about providing the platform. Engage with the community, get their feedback, be transparent, show appreciation for those active members.
Build those relationships that turn customers into evangelists.
Exactly. And there are real benefits. Increased loyalty, valuable product feedback, even attracting new talent.
So the community helps you grow, and your growth benefits the community. It's a cycle.
Right. But remember, it's not just about having a Facebook group. Foster that culture of collaboration, support, shared purpose. It's about building a movement.
Wow, we've explored so much from the digital world to the real world and everything in between. No one-size-fits-all solution here.
Absolutely. The key is to experiment, find what works for you, and double down on those channels that are driving growth. Remember, it's not just about getting customers, it's about building lasting relationships, a brand people love.
So taking all this in, what are some key takeaways for our listeners? What should they be focusing on?
It's about finding those channels that fit your goals, your resources, your audience. Run those cheap experiments, test your assumptions, focus on what shows promise, be creative, be persistent, keep learning and adapting.
Don't be afraid to try new things. Measure those results. Even small steps can make a big difference.
And don't get overwhelmed. Start with 1 or 2 channels that feel right. Master those before moving on.
And remember, the best marketing, it comes down to providing value, building relationships, focus on solving problems, exceeding expectations. That's how you build a successful business. Now, before we jump into our final part, any closing thoughts on everything we've covered so far?
You know, it's been really interesting going through all these different ways to gain traction, but I think you're hitting on something crucial there. It's not enough to just get those customers. It's what happens after they sign up, after they buy.
Right. We've talked about finding your audience, testing those different approaches, but keeping those customers engaged, coming back for more, isn't that like the other half of the equation?
Absolutely. The book touches on it, but it's definitely worth exploring further. Think about it. Getting a new customer, that's great, but keeping a customer, that's even better. That's where real growth, sustainable growth, comes from.
It's that difference between chasing trends and building something that lasts.
Exactly. You want people to trust your brand, love your product, feel like they're part of something, and a lot of that boils down to relationships.
So, looping back to all those channels we've discussed, how do you see them playing a role in, like, customer retention? Could we take those strategies and use them to keep customers happy, engaged?
Definitely. Take content marketing, for example. It's not just about attracting new people. It's about providing ongoing value to the people you already have. Create content that helps them get the most out of your product, solves their problems, keeps them informed.
So it's less about getting those new eyeballs and more about nurturing the ones you've already got.
Precisely. And email marketing, same thing. Use email to stay top of mind, deliver personalized content, even ask for feedback. Shows you care about their experience.
Turn those transactional emails into, like, a conversation.
Exactly. And what about community building? That's huge for retention. People feel like they belong, they're more likely to stick around.
That sense of belonging, being part of something bigger than just a product.
Right. And you can build that through online forums, social media groups, even in-person events. Give customers ways to connect with each other, share experiences, help each other out. It's amazing what happens when your customers become your biggest advocates.
It's like creating a movement, everyone invested in the success of the product.
You got it. And it all comes back to those core principles, right? Provide value, build relationships, exceed expectations. Do those things well, and you won't just attract customers, you'll keep them.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into traction, let's boil it all down. What are the key takeaways for our listeners?
Let's give them a 10-point checklist, stuff they can start using today.
Love it. All right, number 1, traction is about having measurable proof that people actually want what you're building, not just assumptions. Get out there and test your ideas.
Number 2, that bullseye framework. That's your roadmap. Experiment, iterate, focus on what works for your business.
Number 3, think outside the box. Don't be afraid to try those unconventional approaches. Sometimes those are the ones that really pay off.
Number 4, make it personal. Personalize your marketing. People respond to that.
Number 5, think long-term. Build those assets that'll keep generating leads, build your brand over time.
Number 6, those platforms we talked about. App stores, social media, marketplaces, use them. Reach a wider audience.
Number 7, partner up. Bloggers, influencers, other businesses. Collaboration is key.
Number 8, sales, sales, sales. Build that repeatable process. Nurture relationships, solve problems. Your sales team, they should be trusted advisors.
Number 9, data is your friend. Track your results, measure your success, and keep tweaking those strategies.
And finally, number 10, never stop learning. Marketing's always changing. Stay curious, stay flexible, try new things.
All right, that's it for our deep dive into traction. Hopefully you've got some new insights, some actionable strategies to take your business to the next level.
And remember, the most successful companies, they focus on creating real value for their customers. Do that, and the traction, it'll follow.
Until next time, happy experimenting, and may the traction be with you.